Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming on and watching this video. I wanted to do a video on today, and I want to talk about the type of background checks you should be running on your babysitter or on your nanny. So this is really, really important. I'm going to point out some key things that you should be looking for, point out some key things that's the difference between the type of background checks that we're going to talk about. So the first thing, I'm Trina. I'm the founder of Babysitters of Charlotte. Also, we're a sister company of Babysitters Inc. So the first thing I want to talk about is what type of background check you should be running. So there are different types of background checks. So you have the national background check. You also have a local background check, and you also have a state background check. So these are the different background checks that you can run on your babysitter or on your nanny. So the first one I want to talk about is the local background check. So a local background check is basically a check that you can go to the police department. I think it's only $15 or so. It may have went up, but you can actually go to the police department, or the babysitter can go to the police department. I prefer, if they're getting a local background check, that they go get it. They go, go get their background check and pay for it. So basically the local background check is $15. And what that pulls, it pulls anything local. So if you're in Charlotte and your nanny is in Charlotte, they just probably moved to Charlotte maybe a couple of years ago. They lived in different states. So if they have anything on their background from, different states, if they live in New York, or if they lived in Georgia, if they lived in South Carolina, it will not pull anything from those states. It will only pull locally what has manifested locally in Charlotte. So that's really important to know, because anytime the police department pull that background check, the only thing that they have access to is a local things that have happened. So if they have anything on their background from other places, then it's not going to pull. If it's from another state that they live, it's not going to pull that. So I personally do not use local, especially if they're not from Charlotte. So if they're not from Charlotte, I will not pull their background check locally. The next thing that you have is the state background check. So the state background check is another one to keep in mind. So the state is actually what daycares use. So my story, I actually used to have a daycare center. So I had a daycare center in the state of North Carolina, and what we required and what the state required was a fingerprinted background check. So the fingerprinted background check is ran through the state. So it's ran through the states. So they'll pull anything for their fingerprints that have came up in that particular state. And that's for the state of North Carolina. And then you have the last one that we use is a national. So a national background check. So the national background check pulls everything. So the national background check will tell us where they lived. They'll let us know any speeding tickets, any criminal activity, anything, bankruptcies, all that stuff. So we've been using this particular software for years, and it has done wonders, because a lot of times with our background check, it will pull things that they've been arrested for but not necessarily charged for. It still pull their arrest history, all that stuff. And that's important to know when you're hiring someone, if they've been arrested for something, or if they've been arrested for, stealing, or if they've been arrested for whatever it is and it wasn't charged. So if they was to get a regular, if they was to go to the local, get a local background check and they wasn't charged, guess what? You're not going to know if they was arrested for anything if they wasn't charged. It's just going to be, wiped out. But the one that we use here at Babysitters of Charlotte, we use a national one. So that's the one you definitely want to be using when you're hiring someone can't take it lightly when we have people around our children. So I definitely encourage you to use that. I also have a list and links that you can go to be able to pull background checks. So if you would like the list of the softwares that we use and that you can use, you can do the state. And then it's a link that if you want your particular babysitter to do, you can actually have them do the fingerprint. So I can actually send you over that list. So if you want that list, I will post the link where you can go and grab that list of softwares or background checks. And the great thing about our software that we use is very inexpensive. And so it's really, 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 really inexpensive. So if you're running background checks, which you're probably not running a lot unless you just have the time to hire someone, you can probably do a trial and see how it goes. When I tell you this particular app was, you can find people on this app. Like I was able to use this app to find so a long lost family member. So using this app, they had their number, their address, what they currently was, the previous address. I mean, I found so many people. I found when I get on that app or software, I just start searching for people. You can search anyone on this app. When I tell you, it's a good app. But you also can use it on your computer as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to post the link to where you can go grab the list of the background checks that you should be running on your nannies or babysitters. And if you're needing assistance, or if you need assistance with getting a nanny, if you're having a hard time finding a nanny, if you're having a hard time finding a reliable babysitter, definitely hit us up. Call us, babysittersofcharlotte.com. You can also give us a call. A lot of times I would suggest an agency if you're having a hard time. Also, we are very affordable. We're not, trying to basically break your pockets. We're able to find you a nanny within a good amount of time. One of my clients, she actually traveled to Charlotte. So she had just got to Charlotte. The first week she had started trying to hire people. She works, 12 hours, 10 hours, however many hours, 8 hours, she don't have time. So she actually paid her placement fee the same night, not day, the same night that she paid the placement fee. That next morning when she woke up, she had 2 interviews lined up to interview nannies. So I'm gonna let that sink in, because a lot of times, a lot of nanny agencies may have to look for nannies, but us, we already have, nannies available, So when we're hiring and interviewing nannies, if we feel like they'll be a good fit, we'll keep their contact information, you know, to allow families to interview them. So yeah, the next morning, she interviewed 2 nannies. Even I think it was the next day after that morning, she interviewed some more nannies. So I was able to place a nanny with her with less than a week, and she loved her nanny. She loved her nanny. So yeah. So with all of that being said, I will, if you need that list for background checks, definitely let us know. It's a link below where you can actually grab that particular list. So thank you all for watching, and have a great